Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy Dolls.
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was very early on a bright sunny morning, and the Raggy Dolls were out hiking on the moors. They each carried a knapsack with some orange squash and a packed lunch inside. But this was to be no ordinary hiking day. They had found one of Mr. Grimes's old survey maps, and on it was marked a place that had caves.
What do you think we'll find in the caves?
Asked Lucy.
I hope there won't be any wild animals.
No problem, chuckled Back to Front. The worst thing we could expect is someone selling ice cream. I wouldn't mind that, thought Sadsack. Are we nearly there? He said. According to this, it's just over that ridge, said Dotty, showing the others the map. But when they got there was nothing to be seen.
Are you sure this is the place?
Asked Princess.
Positive,
said Dotty. It's certainly miles from anywhere, observed Back to Front. And no ice cream, thought Sadsack, disappointed at coming all this way for nothing. Let's spread out and look around, suggested Hi-Fi.
Good thinking,
said Dotty.
If the caves are on the map, they must exist. After all, they must have been here for thousands of years. They can't just disappear.
The Raggy Dolls spread out, and it wasn't long before Back to Front called out,
Hey, over here, but be careful.
He was standing by a big hole in the ground, half hidden by some boulders. A strong fence was all around it to stop people falling in, but a sign saying, Danger, keep out, lay on its side, probably blown down by the wind.
Don't come too close.
Warned Back to Front.
It's very, very deep.
Then come away from the edge,
Said Dotty.
We don't want any accidents.
No problem, said Back to Front. He rejoined the others, and after they had fixed the sign back upright, the Raggy Doll sat down and wondered what to do.
It's obviously one of those caves that only potholers go into,
Said Dotty.
What a nuisance.
What are potholers?
Said Sadsack.
People who like to explore underground, explained Hi-Fi.
Yeah, said Back to Front.
Like mountaineers in reverse.
Does that mean we can't go in?
Said Lucy, almost hopefully.
I'm afraid so.
Said Dotty.
You need special equipment to go down there. It would be too dangerous for us.
Just then, a rabbit came hopping by. He was very surprised to see the Raggy Dolls.
Gosh,
He said.
what kind of people are you? We're not people,
Explained Lucy.
we're dolls. Ah, didn't think you were real people.
Said the rabbit.
The only people I've ever seen are huge compared to you. What are you doing up here? We came to look at the caves.
Said Dotty.
But they're too dangerous.
Added Lucy.
We saw them on a map.
Said Back to Front.
But we didn't know we needed ropes.
You don't need ropes.
Said the rabbit.
I know another way. It's no good for people, but it's just right for dolls your size.
Great,
Stammered Hi-Fi.
What are we waiting for?
The rabbit led them to another entrance under a big stone. It was just a crack in the rocks, but it turned into a small tunnel. Soon the Raggy Dolls were walking down a steep slope, deeper and deeper underground. It was very damp and quite dark, but they could see daylight ahead of them.
It must be coming from the main entrance,
Said Back to Front.
That's right.
Said the rabbit.
You'll soon be underneath it. I'll say goodbye now. There's not much to eat down here.
The Raggy Dolls thanked the rabbit for his help and carried on down the tunnel towards the main cave. Soon they were in a big chamber lit by a bright shaft of sunlight. Strange pointed rocks hung from the roof of the cave and dripped water onto other pointed rocks that seemed to grow up out of the floor.
Gosh,
Said Dotty.
stalagmites and stalactites.
I beg your pardon?
Said Sad-Sack.
That's what those pointed rocks are called.
Said Lucy.
But I can never remember which is which. Stalactites hang and stalagmites stick up.
Said Dotty.
I looked it up before we came. They're very impressive,
Said Princess.
especially when you think of how long it took for them to grow.
Rocks don't grow, do they?
Said Sad-Sack, thinking he was being teased.
These ones do,
Said Back to Front.
See those strips? Each one contains tiny bits of stone. Some bits stick to the top one, making it longer, and some bits land on the bottom one, making it taller. It takes ages.
Attention!
Said Claude, who was standing by a large pool of water.
Voila! Something has been here before us.
He pointed to some large webbed footprints that seemed to lead straight into the water. The others gathered round, and Lucy's knees began knocking.
Oh, I don't like this. Maybe there's a creature that lives down here, a sort of prehistoric monster perhaps, and this is its cave.
Nah,
Said Back to Front, not too sure.
all the dinosaurs are extinct. They died out years ago.
What about the Loch Ness Monster?
Said Princess.
According to some people, that exists.
Let's go.
Said Sad-Sack, convinced they had discovered a cave nest. Why else would there be a sign saying danger, keep out, and no one selling ice cream?
Keep calm.
Said Dotty.
There's got to be a sensible explanation.
Just then, bubbles started rising in the deep pool of water.
Look!
Stammered Hi-Fi, pointing at two bright lights under the water.
I knew it.
Wailed Lucy.
It's got big wobbly eyes that can see in the dark. Everybody hide.
Ordered Dotty. The Raggy Dolls hid behind some stalagmites and watched with horror as the bubbles got bigger and bigger, and a large, shiny black shape emerged from the pool, soon followed by another.
Frogman?
Blurted Sad-Sack. Shh, whispered Dotty.
No, they're plot holers.
The Raggy Dolls watched as the two men removed their masks and breathing tubes and switched off their powerful underwater torches.
There's your monster's eyes.
Whispered Back to Front.
I know.
Sighed Lucy.
And there go the feet.
The two men were removing their flippers.
Ah, that was great.
Said one of the men.
I've never managed to reach the main chamber before. It's as big as a cathedral. I know,
Said the other man.
it's a bit tricky getting there, but it's well worth it, don't you think? It was everything you said it would be. Thanks.
The two men shook hands, proud of their achievement. In no time at all, the men had packed up their equipment and climbed up out of the cave.
Time for lunch, I think.
Said Dotty, opening her knapsack.
Surely you're not going to eat it down here.
Said Lucy, still a little spooked by the place.
I most certainly am.
Declared Dotty.
And no frogman, caveman, bogeyman or dinosaur is going to stop me. Dotty's right.
Said Princess.
We were only scared by what we imagined.
Everyone agreed. The cave was a beautiful place and well worth the long walk. The Raggy Dolls sat in silence, eating their sandwiches and sipping orange squash, and thinking of all the time it had taken to make the world.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our raggy doll chums. 'Cause raggy dolls are happy just to be raggy dolls,